Good morning everyone. Welcome to Biology Foundation classes. Today we are going to discuss about very important topic, that is cell. Okay. What is we are discussing today about cell. Cell. Okay. Generally, what is cell? First of all, we need to discuss about what is cell. Generally, what we call cell. Cell is a smallest unit of life. Somebody saying what? Cell is a smallest unit of life. Unit of life. That means cell is the smallest unit, smallest part, very smallest unit in our body. In our body means what? All living organisms body. Okay. And cell is the smallest unit of life. Okay. This is, and also called, cell is also called building blocks of life. Building blocks of life. And also called structural, functional unit of life. Structural, functional unit of life. How can you say this is structural and functional unit of life? First of all, what is cell? Okay, as per chemistry, okay, if you observe, as per chemistry, if you observe, this is a piece of chalk, we can call chalk piece, or piece of chalk, or object, we can call object also. This is also one object. Okay, any object in a chemistry, any object or whatever thing or object, it is made up of what? Small particle. For example, if you observe that this is the example of this is piece of chalk. It is made up of small particles. These are what? Particles. These particles combine and form this object or this piece of chalk. That means the chalk piece, it is made up of what? Small particles. This is object also made up of what? Small particles. As in chemistry, what we call atoms combined and form molecules. Molecules combined and form matter, are nothing but object. Okay. Atoms, generally as per chemistry, atoms, some atoms combined and form molecules. Molecules combined and form what? Object. Object or thing, whatever thing, as per chemistry. That means any object, even any means what? Even whatever things we are seeing around us, all are made up of small particles. Small particles, nothing but, as in chemistry, atoms combined and form molecule. Molecules combined and form what? Object. Same as it is our body also. You know, our means what? Don't think about only human beings. Even our body also. Even all living organisms, microorganisms, and plants body, and human being, and animal, all types of animals body also made up of smallest unit. What is that smallest unit? Okay, that smallest unit means just like a room like structures. Our body also made up of what? Smallest unit of life. That means just box like structures, room like structures. Small chambers. It is made up of small chamber, little rooms. Little rooms. Little room. Okay. Our body also made up of little rooms, are nothing but little chamber. Little chamber. It is made up of a little chamber. Okay. That means cell, this piece of chalk made up of smallest units, that is the smallest particles. Same our body also. Our means human beings, animals, plants, microorganisms, everyone, all living organisms body also made up of smallest unit. But we cannot see our smallest unit, smallest cells. That smallest unit is nothing but smallest cells. Who observed the cells in first time? In 1665. In 1665, the scientist name is what? Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke, he did some experiments. He did some experiment. What he did, he observed in a bark of the tree. Cork means what? Bark of the tree. Bark of the tree. Especially he observed in a cork cell. First time he used some. He used some small, especially microscope. His microscope, whatever he did, he had used that microscope to observe small cork cells. By using his microscope, he observed just small room-like structures. He observed the cork cells. In that cork cells, he observed small room-like structures. What he told, just like a honeybee comb-like structures. How it looked like? Honeybee comb-like structures. Honeybee comb-like structures. He observed. Who observed? Robert Hooke observed. Robert Hooke observed in a cork cell. First he thought that these are, he called as a little rooms. What we call these are? He called as a little room. Later he gave it the name, of cell. Whatever he observed in plant cork cell, that is, he told what? Later he called that room-like structures, whatever smallest room-like structures, these are called what? Cell. That means cell is discovered by Robert Hooke. Who discovered the cell? Discovered by Robert Hooke. Okay. Cell is discovered by Robert Hooke. He observed cork cell. In a cork cell, he observed smallest room-like structure. He called that room-like structures are called, especially what we call little rooms. He called first. Later he called that is a cells. Cell is nothing but smallest room. So that smallest unit of life. Cork. What is cork? Cork is a part of plant. Even so that the plant is also made up of what? Small cells. Plant is also made up of small cells. Not only plant, even human beings, even all animals are made up of smallest unit, smallest cells. We cannot see that cells. Even our skin is very soft. But if you observe under the microscope, we will observe small epithelial cells. Nothing but we can call small room-like structures we will observe. This type of structure we will observe. That means if your in our skin is look like very soft, but if you keep under the microscope, we will observe small room-like structure. That means even our skin is also made up of what? Cells. What is cell? Smallest unit of life. Smallest units. Smallest room-like structure. Little room-like structure. Smallest parts in our body. That cells. Whatever cells is there in our body, that cells combined and form tissues, and combined tissues combined and form organs. Organs combined and form what? Organ systems. Organ systems combined and form finally living thing or living organisms. Living thing. That means these group of cells, that means whatever cells we have observed, the cells combined and form tissues in our body. Tissues combined and form organ, particularly nose, ear, whatever organ. Organs combined and form organic systems, respiratory system, digestive system, circulatory system, excretory system, all systems. All systems combined and form one living organism. That means our body made up of smallest unit. That smallest unit is what? Cell. Cell is the smallest unit of life. That means our life starts with what? Cell. Any living organism, even microorganism, even plants, even animals, in all organisms made up of smallest units. That smallest units is nothing but cell. And cell is also called building blocks of life. What is the meaning of building blocks? For example, if you observe what? Construction of house or wall. Okay, in a wall made up of what? Bricks. You know very well about that one. Okay, the walls are made up of what? Bricks. Between the bricks, what? Cement. They are using cement. Okay, between the bricks, especially they are making walls. Okay, just like this is a wall. Wall is made up of what? Bricks. Wall is made up of bricks. Same as it is our body also made up of what? This type of cells. We cannot see that cells. If you want to see that cells using with microscope only, possible to see using with microscope only. But these cells are very small. That means the wall is made up of what especially what we call bricks. So that our body also made up of what? Smallest units, smallest brick-like structure. So that building blocks of life, building blocks of living organisms. The living organisms made up of what? Smallest brick-like structure, smallest cells. So that building our body made up of what cells? Building blocks of life. And third point, I am told what? Structural functional unit of life. What is structural functional unit of life? That means our body structure. Who gives structure means what? Already I am told our body made up of cells, small cells. If you want to see ourselves using with microscope, possible to see using with microscope. Okay, structure. The body made up of structure means what? Shape of the body. Who gives shape means what? Cells combined from tissues combined from organs combined from organic system and living organism. That means all organ systems combined from one living organism. That means who give a particular structure to the body means what? Cell. And second point, structural, what we call structural and functional unit. I'm told what? Structural and functional unit. Second point, functional unit. That means organ systems is there. What is the use of? Respiratory system, digestive system, circulatory system, excretory system, even plants also metabolic activities like photosynthesis. That means some systems are required to do activities, metabolic activities in our body. That metabolic activities, that means these cells only combined and form finally organ systems. So that the functional system also made up of cells. So that cells are called structural functional unit of life. It gives particular structure, all organs functioning with what cell? The inside the cell also functioning is respiration, whatever is functioning are going on. That means all cells combined and form organ systems in our body. That system is useful to do some metabolic activities in our body. So that what? Cell is also called smallest unit of life. That means our body is made up of smallest unit, smallest, that is nothing but we can call cell. And the building blocks of life, that is the body construct with what? Cells, all organs in our body. And structural function, that means the body design and also what? Shape of the body and body functioning by cell only. So that finally what we have concluded here, okay, that this is a piece of chalk. In piece of chalk it is made up of what? Small particles. Our body made up of what? Small cells. These cells combined from tissues combined from organs combined from organic system combined from finally one living thing. All organic system gathered and combined and form one living thing. Okay, so that this is the basic information about cell. Okay, somebody having doubt, sir, how these cells are formed in our body? That is also important. Okay, so that we have to discuss about that one also. Okay, how these cells are forms in our body. Okay, for example, I wrote here cells. Okay, the cells combined, for example, in our body also, this piece of chalk made up of what? Small particles. Particles as per chemistry, that particles is nothing but atoms, molecule combined and form what? Matter. Finally, matter. Same our body also, it is made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, some type of what? These are also atoms. These atoms combined and form what? Some molecules. You know what is molecule? Atoms combined and form molecules. Okay, carbon dioxide, water, and sulfur, phosphorus, whatever is there, phosphorus oxides, nitrogen oxides. Okay, that means explanatory, whatever is there. Okay, that means atoms, molecules, Okay, these molecules combine and form complex molecules. Simple molecules, and simple molecules combined from complex. Complex means what? DNA, RNA, okay, DNA and glucose, whatever is there, glucose, and nucleic acids, nothing but DNA, RNA, glucose, and furands, what? Proteins, fats. Okay, that means before cell, how cell is made? The cell is made up of with same thing, atoms only. How? This piece of chalk made up of small particles, atoms, molecules, and finally matter. Same, our cells are also made up of what? Small atoms combined and form simple molecules. Simple molecules combined and form what? These are complex. Complex means what? Little bit complex molecules. And complex molecules or molecules combined and form what? Cell organelles. Cell organelles. What is cell organelles? In next classes we are to discuss. All cell organelles combined and form what? Cell. Inside the cell organelles, first of all, formation of cell organs by complex molecule, DNA, RNA, glucose, protein molecules, fat molecule, globulin molecules, all molecules combined form one cell organelles. All cell organelles combined and form finally one cell. That cells combined and form some group of cells combined and form tissues, some group of tissues combined and form organs, some organs combined and form a tissue, what? Organ system combined and form finally living organism. That means this is the lower body organization. What we call this is lower body organization. That means, what is the meaning of that? Lower body organization means what? Our body, generally we thought that our body is made up of what? In small organs is there in our body, organ systems is there. Okay, organ. How these organ system are made up of? Organ systems are made up of cells. How these cells are made up of? Cells are made up of some atoms combined from molecule combined from some complex molecule combined from cell organelles, all cell organelles combined from cells, group of cells combined from tissues combined from what? Organs combined from organic system, finally living organisms. In an earth, okay, in a earth, every living organism, every living organism made up of what? Single cell. Every living organism made up of single cell. How can you say single cell? What I mentioned here, okay, wait, I will drop this one. Okay, here all living organisms means what? Microorganism, plants or animals, whatever is that. All living organism made up of single cell. How can you say all living organisms made up of single cell? How can you say all living organisms made up of single cell, one cell? For example, in human beings, this is what? Sperm cell, what we call sperm cell. This is ovum, okay, what we call sperm cell, and ovum. These are also cells, nothing but in higher classes it becomes, this is what? Ovum, sperm and ovum. What it is? These are what? Male gamete and female gamete, and combined and form zygote. What it is? Zygote. That means our life starts with, our means not only human beings, all living organisms, life starts with what? Zygote. What is zygote? Zygote is nothing but fertilized egg. What we call fertilized egg. Fertilized egg. Nothing but fertilized egg. Okay, fertilized egg. Especially what is fertilized egg? This is what zygote. Generally, zygote is nothing but egg. Generally, every day we are eating eggs. That is, egg is nothing but what? Cell. Single cell. That is, egg is nothing but whatever we are eating, hen egg. That is nothing but what? Cell. That is a zygote. Nothing but we can call fertilized egg. That is a single cell. In that cell, later development is occurs. Development. And development, what happened? It is divided into small cells. It is divided into small cells. Okay, it is divided that cell, whatever single cell, this single cell divided into small group of cells. The group of cells combined and form tissues. Tissues combined and form organs. Organ combined and form finally living organisms. Living organisms. That means human beings, it will be takes 240 days. What we call, this is the development period, or we can call gestation period or development period. Generally, gestation period or development period. Development period. What happened in this development period? Whatever fertilized egg, nothing but single egg, single cell, that is divided and forms multiple cells. Multiple cells combined and form tissues. Tissues combined and form organs. Organ combined and form organ systems. Organ systems. Organ systems combined and form finally living organisms. Living organism. That means it takes some time. That is the period we can call development period. Development period, nothing but we can call gestation period. In human beings, generally 9 months or nothing but we can call 240 days. These 240 days takes from development, from whatever single cell zygote, single cell, that is converts into, change it into what? It is the body. It gives a particular shape and structure. That means the single cell is cell divided from group of cells combined and tissues combined and from organ combined and organ system, and finally living organism. That means every living organism, all living organism, what I am given the statement, all living organisms made up of what? Single cell. That means this is also our human being body, animals body, plants body, microorganisms body. Everyone's body is made up of what? Single cell. In that, organisms also, two types organisms are two types is there. Organisms are two types. Some are unicellular organisms is there. Unicellular organisms. And some are multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. Okay, these are also very important. Okay, multicellular organism. Okay, now what is unicellular organism? What is multicellular organisms? This is very important. Uni means what? Single. Okay, some organisms, lower level of organisms, some microorganisms body. Some organisms means what? Living things. The living things, some living things, some lower level living things, the body made up of what? Single cell. The total body is made up of what? Single cell. Which organisms body is made up of? Single cell. Single cellular organism. Which body is made up of single cell is called, that is we can call especially unicellular organisms. Examples of unicellular organism. Already I am told what? Single cell in that body only, it is made up of what? Single cell only. Single cell, unicell or single cell. Total body is made up of, total body. Yes, that type of organisms also is there. What is that one? For example, protozoans. All protozoans are unicellular organisms. Like amoeba, we know very well about that. Amoeba, euglena, paramecium, verticella. Okay, these are the examples of a single-celled organisms, nothing but unicellular organism. That means the body made up of total body, whatever organism is there, the body made up of what? Single cell. So that examples are protozoans, nothing but some bacteria also. Some protozoans, bacteria are examples of what? Unicellular organism. That means the total body is made up of what? Single cell. Amoeba, euglena, paramecium, verticella, leishmania donovani, plasmodium vivax. So many examples are what? Unicellular organism. Whatever I am given example, these examples are what? Microorganisms. Single cells organism, microorganism. Now, multicellular organisms. The body made up of millions of cells. For example, in our body, different types of systems is there. How these systems are made up of? These systems are made up of group of billions of cells. That means plant is there. Plant is very tall in size. Some plants, trees are very tall, okay, long in. Especially the total body, it is what? The total plant body made up of billions of cells. So that what? Multicellular organisms mean which body, that means which organisms are made up of what? Multi, that means so many cells. Multi means what? So many cells. Multicellular organisms. That means which organism's body made up of multi cells. So many cells. That is we can call multicellular organism. Generally, whatever we are seeing, most of them multicellular. Plants, animals, all vertebrates, whatever is there. Except what? Some microorganisms like bacteria and protozoan. That is what? Unicellular. Remaining everything is multicellular organisms. Okay. Multicellular organism, unicellular organism and multicellular organism. All living organisms made up of what? Single cell. How can you say in examination or how can you say all living organisms are made up of what? Single cell means what? Every cell is made up of what? Especially zygote. Zygote is nothing but fertilized egg. Especially in a plant also we are called that is seed. Seed is develops and it gives baby plant. Same as it is in all organisms also made up of what? Single cell. That single cell divided from multi-cells. Multi-cells divided from tissues combined from organs combined from organ system, finally living organism. Okay, that means finally what we are concluding, that cell is nothing but small room like structure which are not visible. If you want to see the cell in our body using with microscope, some are visible cells is there, later we'll discuss in next class. Thank you.